Still got a minute.
Mhm.
You have any idea what that Doug Paul Cook bill is? Douglas, Doug Paul.
All right, we have 6 o'clock. So I want to welcome everyone to this Summers County Board of Education. We good? Okay. Welcome everyone to the Summers County Board of Education meeting. This is our regular meeting, March 6th, 2025, 6 p.m. We have all 5 board members present, so let the minutes reflect that all 5 members are here. And we are going to ask students from Hinton Area Elementary to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
That's the best one ever.
Still face this. All right, item 3, approval of agenda with adjustments.
Make a motion that we pull RT Rogers out of the bills to be paid separately.
Second. Have a motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mr. McBride to pull RT Rogers out and handle that separately. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that RT Rogers will be pulled and handled separately. Any other adjustments?
Make a motion that we approve the agenda with the aforementioned changes. I'll second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mrs. Farley, that we approve the agenda with the aforementioned adjustments. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that we will approve the agenda with the aforementioned adjustments. Item 4, student disciplinary action. According to West Virginia Code 6-9A-4, paragraph 3, make a motion that we go into executive session.
Second.
Motion by myself, seconded by Mr. Brogan, according to West Virginia Code 6-9A-4, paragraph 3, that we go into executive session. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that we will go into executive session. The time is 6:03 p.m. Okay, item 4, student disciplinary action, executive session ended at 6:30 PM. Dr. Knott, do you have a recommendation for this item?
My recommendation for agenda item number 4 is expulsion for 365 days with the ability to return at the beginning of the 25-26 school year after meeting certain requirements, as will be discussed with the guardian at a later date.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the superintendent's recommendation in regard to agenda item 4.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Mrs. Farley, seconded by Mr. McBride, to accept the superintendent's recommendation regarding student disciplinary action. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the superintendent's recommendation has been approved. Item 5, we have a presentation of the Hinton Area Elementary LSIC.
Good evening.
Good evening.
If you don't mind, we're going to switch up a little bit and let our students present first so that they can go ahead and see. Okay? This is our student lighthouse team for the school, so by the student leadership team. And I will have you know that this play they're about to do for you was written by Amelia and Rhett. There, who is completely theirs.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Sonia Merle. I'm the school counselor here at Hinton Area Elementary, and I'm also the student lighthouse coordinator. Reflecting on what Ms. Gunn said, this play was based on one of the Leader in Me books that we have used, which is The 7 Habits of Happy Kids. Rhett and Amelia expanded our characters and added Mr. Gator, the teacher, to their book version. And they also added a habit 8, which is one of the other habits we learn about in the 8 habits. And we added a new character, which is Minnie the raccoon. So I want to introduce you to the characters, and then we will get started. First of all, we have Sammy the squirrel by Rosemary Hannah, Goober the bear by Braxton Kells, Miss Pokey the porcupine by Natalie Sampson, Lily the skunk with Sadie Light. I'm playing Jumper the rabbit for Dylan Cook, who was out with the Sunnyflowers today. Sophie the squirrel with Loretta Seegers, Allie the mouse by Allie the mouse by Brinley Dennison, Minnie the squirrel by Isabella Joe, Mrs. Hoot the owl, Amelia Hartwell, and then Mr. Gator, who is our other teacher, Rhett Ballard. And
You should make a skit for our class. That's a good idea. What should the theme be? We could do one of the 8 habits. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Gator. Good morning.
good morning, Miss Hoot. Good morning,
Good
Mr.
morning.
Gator.
Good morning. Good morning, Miss Hoot. Good morning, Mr. Gator. Good morning, Mr. Good morning, Miss Hoot. Good morning, Mr. Gator. Good morning. Good morning, class.
Good morning, Mr. Gator.
Today we have a fun activity planned. We'll be making a skit on one of the habits.
Cool. Fun. Let's do it.
Why don't you guys share your ideas? Sammy?
We should do habit 1, be proactive. Being proactive is important because if you aren't, a lot of bad things could happen.
Goober?
Or you do habit 2, being proactive. Being proactive is important if you aren't, you would be missed.
Ms. Cody?
Yeah, but habit 3, first things first is way better. Oh, hell. Habit 3 teaches you to under. Habit 3 is about teaching you to spend your time on more important things first, work, then play.
Great idea. Lily?
Madeline, have you forgotten about habit 4, think, learn, away? No. Habit 4 is about compromising and understanding. It doesn't have to be a win-win all
Jumper?
But I think habit 5 is the best habit.
What's habit 5?
Habit first is seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Oh.
Habit first is understanding others and leaving room for other people's thinking.
We should do it. Say it, Sophie?
What about habit 6, synergize?
What?
Habit 6 is about working together and thinking as a team. It's really important for group projects.
Allie?
What about habit 7, sharpen the saw?
But I don't have a salt sharpener. Sammy?
That's not what she means.
Then what does she mean?
Habit 7 is about thinking and working hard to understand and getting things done.
Sounds fun. Minnie?
What about habit 8, find your voice?
There's a habit 8?
Habit 8 is about speaking and standing up for others. However, it isn't very common.
That's so cool. You all have really great ideas.
So which habit are we going to do?
Yeah, let's have it.
We'll use all your ideas.
Huh?
All the habits are important, so we'll use all of them.
That makes sense. Teach us to use all the habits.
Exactly. The end.
Class is
Yes. All right, we have a little after party downstairs to reward them for hanging out with Miss Merle for the last 2.5 hours.
That's the first time I've got to see the whole thing myself. All right, we're still mixing up the agenda a little bit. We're gonna skip to attendance. If you'll open your folder, there is attendance data on the right side in the very back. And these two are gonna help us a little bit with that. We have a tracking bulletin board that we track our attendance, both year-to-date and chronic absences. As you can see across the top, it lists those from September all the way through the end of February. And then it even includes our students with disability data and our low SES. I will tell you, I always tell Renee, we make us do low SES as a subgroup, but at my school, really the ones that are not low SES is my subgroup. But so it takes a little time when you're doing the benchmark for that and stuff. But anyway, the data is there. Our goal for this year is we want to reduce our, we want to increase our attendance rate by 2%. Last year, we ended the year with 89.9. So you can see the data. We have a couple months where we didn't meet that, but overall, we're doing pretty good on that. And then the chronic attendance rate, we're trying to get it down to no more than 30%. And you can see December, we went to 32, and we started the year with 33%. So we're doing pretty good on that. I looked at it today because every day when you get on Zoom, it changes based on your absences for the day, and we're right at 30. So we're working hard on that. But they would like for you to, if you don't mind, follow them into the hallway where the tracking board is, and they'd like to talk to you about our club days, which is something our students get to do once a month. It's the last Friday of every month. If they have no unexcused absences and no missing work, they get to participate in those. And so just follow Brett in the middle. You're welcome to join.
That's what I didn't see.
Yeah. Thank you.
No.
Our safety team is part of our LSIC, so I'm just gonna let you know what we're doing as far as safety. So I can count this as one of our safety meetings. So we always go over drills. We've had 7 fire drills so far, so we are on track for the year. And 2 intruder alert drills, and the staff had active shooter training on December 20th. That's that we have to have that annually, so we've met that state requirement. And we did a high winds drill yesterday because our record said tornadoes were coming this way in high winds, so we wanted to make sure we knew what to do. Accident reports, we have only had 2 accident reports since our November meeting, so that's unheard of. Usually I have about 20 every time we have an OSIC meeting. One was actually on a field trip. When they went to Lost World Caverns, somebody fell and hurt their knee on a rock. And the other was just bumping heads on the little playground. So that tells me it's not a maintenance issue, nothing we need to get fixed, so, that's good. Bus safety, I have not had any incidents for the longest time till today. We had 4, back to back, 3 drivers, 4 incidents. So, and it's mainly just not staying in their seat, little things like that. So we reviewed the rules, they practiced sitting in my chair in the office, the way they need to be sitting on the bus, and we did parent phone calls with them. A couple of them got lunch detention. We followed the county bus procedures, and then one is off the bus for 3 days because it was his second incident. So, school building maintenance, all maintenance issues are resolved at this time. There's nothing outstanding on the system. They've all been taken care of. And updates to the safety plan. All classroom doors need to remain locked and closed during the day. We used to say if you can't keep them locked, but you could keep your door open. And when Homeland Security came and they did the walkthrough with me and did the checklist, he suggested, because of some of the incidents that's happened this year, that we keep those locked and closed throughout the day. And so we're trying to do that. Teachers are doing pretty good overall with it. Just sometimes I'll go into a room and it's unlocked, so I go behind them and lock it down. But overall, I think the renovation has made a world of difference. It's a lot harder for people to get into our building now. We can keep them contained right in that one Safe Schools entrance. And a lot of parents and visitors have come into our building and they're like, oh, this is so much better. And it does make them feel like it's a safer place for their children. So it was a big benefit to our school. And then the next thing we want to talk about is our academic data. We have 2 data sources. This is on the left side of your folder. These are all Ames Web based. The first one is our wildly important goal. And Alicia Lett is our leader who came and worked with the teachers in August during the Teacher Academy. And we decided as a school that oral reading fluency and math fact fluency was going to be our wildly important goal at all of the elementary schools this year. And so this is the data result as from that. All the teachers set their grade level goals. They're tracking it on their data tracking bulletin boards, and the students track them in their data binders. So if you look across there, it starts with kindergarten, reading, they were 30, winter 36. The other class was 50, and then 43. So it did go down a little bit for that one class. You want to tell them why?
Just simply because some of the interventions that we had in place needed to be tweaked. And also the parameters changed from fall to winter. And so some of the students just weren't quite as quick as they needed to be.
They may know all the letters, but if they can't do them as soon as it flashes on the screen when they're
Right.
being tested, it's like they don't know them. So they've been working on that and they're getting better. And we've made some other changes, which she'll tell you about in just a
Absolutely.
few minutes. Gill and White are our first grade teachers. You can see their scores there respectively. Went up 2 to 40, 3 to 22. Second grade is next, 7 to 31, 7 to 26. Third grade, 23 to 44, 7 to 14. Fourth grade, 9 to 22, then 34 to 50. And then fifth grade, 19 to 65. And then 10 to 21. You'll see that teacher's name twice because she has a 4-5 split grade. So overall, they had average, they started at 17 and went up to 35. That was just oral reading fluency. And then math fluency, kindergarten, 24 to 36, 42 to 50. I'm not going to read all those. You can see them. Everybody went up. I want to point out Mr. Gernens. You can see the score there, 36, all the way up to 80. So that's great. He's really worked from the beginning of the year. In third grade, they really don't introduce the multiplication standard till like about now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's been working on it all year, and I think that has made a big difference. And so you can see everybody's grown in math. So we're very happy with our fluency goals. But then the next page is our overall benchmark data, and that one concerned us a little more. And so we had to make a lot of tweaks with our interventions and how we were going to implement so that we can show better growth. In math, kindergarten went from 35 to 27. In red, that's the intensive target, 26 to 27 in targeted, 39 to 46 proficiency. So they did have an increase in students who were proficient. First grade for math, if you look at the proficiency rate, 36 to 47. Second grade, 24 to 49. Third grade went down 1% on that, and we'll tell you what we're doing to correct that in a moment. Fourth grade, 27 to 17. And then fifth grade, 49 to 36. So you can see from fall to mid-year benchmark, our K2 is knocking it out of the ballpark, but our third through fifth grade are struggling in the math. And so Kelly's going to tell you how we've changed our interventions and how we're addressing this.
And I just wanted to give you all this is just what we need to look at after the testing, because we do a fall benchmark, we do a winter benchmark, and this is the time of year that we tweak what we're doing for interventions. So we can make that progress by the end of in our spring benchmark. But after we analyze the middle of the year benchmark data, we identify trends in students' performances across each of the grade levels in reading and math. And we also pinpoint strengths in areas that need improvement. And we do this together as grade level teams. We talk about where they all place for those benchmarks, and then we decide what we need to do about that. With the increasing trend in math scores for kindergarten to second grade, we decided that the Novomac curriculum spiral was good just to continue. They needed to just keep doing what they were doing. The piece that we did add was a Novomac has a digital intervention piece for 1 and 2. And so they started that intervention piece after the mid-year testing. And then the reading intervention action sets from kindergarten through second grade
In kindergarten, as Title I support aims to enhance grade level students through dictation and reading passages, the classroom teacher is able to concentrate on developing those initial sounds, that letter sound fluency, that they were a little bit deficient for mid-year. So the Title I and classroom teacher can work together so they can separate those kids that are ready to move on, and the classroom teacher can pick up and move those students that didn't do very well in mid-year benchmark testing forward as well. In first grade, the school's community coordinator, our community and schools coordinator, Jamie Persinger, she's taking a group of students to facilitate fluency activities with an enrichment group. She has a little group that she pulls out of that classroom that she does fluency practice with them. So the classroom teacher is able to do the foundations intervention kids so she can move those first graders up to where they need to be. And Title I again is working with some of the lower students with our Gillingham and Foundations, and the classroom teacher does the Foundations intervention kit. In second grade, the focus is more on just enhancing that reading fluency because they're doing such a good job of that anyway. And some of them were so close to being proficient at mid-year that they just need that practice. For the upper grades, the reading and math intervention action steps, we have students in grades 3 through 5 are redirecting their interventions towards the Candian module materials. They are using their writing exercises, enhancing keyboarding abilities, and strategies for, I introduced some strategies for them to help improve their reading comprehension skills. In fourth grade, we had a little hiccup with our math scores, just simply because we had some gaps in their earlier classroom Tier 1 education. And so we had to pause the spiral in Inova Math, and we contacted our support from that curriculum company, and they suggested that they start a 2-week intervention journey. And so they're completely going away from the spiral of the curriculum, and they're doing that 2-week intervention. And the classroom teacher is really happy about the progress that they're making. And after that 2 weeks is over, then they'll continue the Inova Math curriculum spiral.
That is to try to fill in the gaps because they did not have strong instruction in third grade. And then she's inherited them and she's teaching the fourth grade standards, but there's so many gaps. So she did a Teams meeting with Ricardo. Ricard. And this is what he suggested to help fill in those gaps. So the teacher sent an email. She was so excited about the progress she's already seen. So we hope that they'll make big growth. So she will not be so hard on herself because she is an outstanding teacher. If you look at the reading data, Kelly went ahead and skipped one and told you what we were doing to address it.
I'm sorry.
But our biggest concern was kindergarten. And she explained why fluency, the oral reading fluency plays a big part on the benchmark in the lower grades. But we didn't know it at the time, but at mid-year, it is not included in 3 through 5. So even though they showed all this growth in our, what we call the happy data, as Ms. Jill Moore said, it did not show up here because we still did the oral reading fluency, but it's not included in the composite score. So, but everybody did show growth except for kindergarten, and then third grade actually regressed by proficiency by 2%. But we haven't had a consistent teacher. We've had one that's been out on medical leave a couple of times this year, a big chunk of the year, and we do have a fantastic long-term sub in there right now, and we've got a plan with her, and she's doing a phenomenal job. We just have to get consistency in that third grade. Of course, Mr. Durnan is doing wonderful, and he's worked them to death in writing, and he was so proud yesterday. He stopped me in the hall and hugged me and said, after spending 2 hours on that writing process, he said, they did so good yesterday or today when you turned them loose. And so we are seeing that growth. They are working hard. And look, I invite anybody to come anytime, just show up, come do walkthroughs with me. And you're going to see how hard our teachers are working because they really are. First year, And I don't know how long we've had all certified teachers, except we have that one classroom where we have a certified teacher, but she's been on medical leave a good chunk of the year. But we're making gains. We really are. So that is our academic data. Do you have any questions? Okay. And then we went over the attendance data, and the next thing is our discipline data. And I tried to break it down for you, comparing last year's to this year. Last year's referrals through the same time period was 42. This year is 66 as of the end of February. That is a 36% increase over the same time period. And that is, if you look on Zoom, it'll show that we actually have 78, but that's because the Tier 4 students are included in our data because they had to be put into hidden areas as our school. So they had 12 incidents, so we took those out. We expected our discipline referrals to go up because previously we had so many new teachers, and they really weren't sure of what interventions to implement and when to send them to me or whatever. So we're a CSI ATS school. That's why I made sure I've looked at the special ed data too, because we had to do that improvement plan. One of the requirements of it was we had to have a PBIS goal for behavior, which Leader in Me counts, but I'll show you in a moment how we integrated the two. And we had to have an attendance goal and then an academic goal. So, and that's basically what we have to do for a strategic plan for next year. The state is requiring everyone to do that. So it'll flow all together. So now we are getting the referrals when they're supposed to come to me and stuff. So we don't have big behavior like when I first started here. It's more minor things. Once in a while, we'll have a fight or a threat of injury, but nothing like I was telling Kelly, my first couple of years, I had 2 expulsion hearings at the elementary level. I haven't seen that in years, so it has gotten better. As far as ISS numbers, we only had 3 last year. We had 17 this year, and then OSS was 11 last year and 1. And the reason those have flipped, because last year we couldn't get a sub to cover ISS. This year I have Mr. Durnan, who always says, just send them to me if you can't get a sub. So when somebody picks up for that job, they work out of that conference room and work with the student all day. Otherwise, they sit at Mr. Durnan's table and do their work in there, and they still get their ISS because we'd rather them be in school than out of school. So we try out of school as a last resort. If you look at the data again on Zoom, it may look a little higher, but again, Tier 4 is put into our data. So you have to keep that in mind. We only have 1 for students we house in this building. Students with disabilities, when we look at that, out of those 66 referrals, 27 of them have IEPs. So that's 41% of the referrals. So we want to get that down because that's way too high. And then like every time I have a discipline referral, and I always give a copy of it to the case manager for that student so that we can discuss that together. Like I have 1 student, it's actually just the one that has out of school suspension. I told her if he gets in trouble again, then we may have to look at putting a behavior plan back into his IEP. He's had that before, but he started doing better. But we want to wait because we really think it could be just a medication issue, right? So you have to take those things into consideration too. Minority total referrals were 8. But if you look at my note, 1 student had 6 of those 8. Same for the female ones. 1 female had 6 of the 17, had 5 of the 17 total ISS. That student is no longer in our school, so you won't see that information in Zoom. Like the total incidence is accurate is what I noticed, but then if you click on the list of students, that person's name is no longer in there because she has now gone to virtual school. So I went through and handed from the discipline incidents, like wrote it out and included it for our purposes, for our data, so that we would have a more accurate depiction. So this kind of data will allow us to compare our students with disabilities, minority, boys versus girls, and all of that information that's important to make sure we're providing the appropriate interventions. I also calculated our top 10 referrals, students that get the most referrals, they make up 61% of the total referrals. 5 students make up 41% of our total referrals. So it's not that there's that many students, it's just the same ones. And, tier 3 level behavior, you expect, 3 to 5% of your students to be in that category. So on the back, if you turn it over, these are some of the interventions. Tier 1 interventions are for everybody. This is what we have in place for everybody. We have the PRIDE PBIS program, and I gave you information in your folder about that. This sheet here tells you what our acronym stands for, and it also describes how it integrates with which habits. So like prepared integrates with habits 1 and 2. Respectful integrates with Leader in Me habits 4, 5, and 6. And so it meshes all together. And there is a brochure for you in there to remind you of what each of the habits are. This is our settings matrix, and this has been sent to the board office, and these will be officially ordered as soon as I get the PO back. And we'll have large posters up throughout our school for each of the settings and in the classrooms. And it tells what the rules are for each of the settings and what the expectations are based on being prepared and respectful, integrity, all of our acronyms. And so we have that in place. All the teachers got a binder. You can see my yellow binder. I created a binder for everybody. We met as a PBIS team this summer, created a discipline matrix that everybody follows. So we know first incident, this is happening. Second incident, this is happening, and so on. We also have specific structures and procedures in place for level 1 behaviors. This was important to help our teachers, our new ones. And so the first time they demonstrate a level 1 behavior, because those are teacher managed, just like talking out of seat, interrupting class, being a little bit disruptive, but not something that they really need to go to the office for. Then first time they get to select from a list of 16 interventions. And they're all listed very specifically in their binder. Everybody has a binder. And then the second time, they get retraining with a thing sheet, and they have to debrief once they complete that with the teacher before they're allowed to leave. This year, I scheduled 30-minute recesses, which are required, but we added an extra 10 minutes. That's physical activity time, because you can count that as instructional time, because they want that from 2410. So if you have to do retraining, it's during that 10-minute physical activity time. And so the teacher that has recess duty takes everybody else on out, and then the one that has lunchtime at that time, the first 10 minutes, she's with the students still under retraining, and then they're sent out, and then she has a 30-minute lunch. So that's been very effective. We did that several years ago, and then we got away from it, and then we went back to it. The third time, they're required to call the parent, and they get assigned lunch detention. We have a separate lunch detention table they sit at. They're not to send them to me until they've contacted the parent, because I should not be the first one calling them and saying, your child's in trouble. They need to hear that from the teacher. And I tell them, everybody has phones. I'll come watch your room while you use my office, whatever. We try to encourage them to put it on speakerphone and have the child tell their parent what happened while they're having the call on. That's the most effective. So, and then the fourth time for level 1 behaviors, they're just not getting it. They come to me, and then I do an intervention with them. And sometimes parent gets a second call, and we try to make a plan to work together to correct what's going on. Tier 2 interventions we have in place, we do behavior contract plans. We have a couple of those in place right now. Small groups called lunch bites through New School. I've identified certain students that just need a little extra help. And during lunchtime on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, she has a different grade level groups, and they go with her and they learn appropriate social interactions with one another, work on certain skills that I might give her a heads up, like really hit hard on this or that. So that's been effective. And the SAP process, we can make SAP referrals based on behavior, and we have probably 4 of those right now going on. The young lady that left, we did do that with her. We did have a behavior plan. She said it was, she helped create it, but then said it was baby-fied, and didn't want to do it. And we had meetings with mom and everything. So we do everything we can to get them on track. Tier 3 interventions, we refer to outside agencies, such as Raynell Medical Center. I have provided the brochures and sat down with a couple of parents about parentguidance.org to get them signed up for that. One parent said, I don't know what to do with this student. They're even worse at home. She had called David Stewart to see if they would take her, and they told her the child was too young. I said, maybe parent guidance is for you. And so she said she was going to take us up on that and try, because it's that free program through, the State Department. I'm not sure if she ever followed through, but we gave her that option. So got a lot of things going on, even outside of what I told you. We've got Ms. Merle who does success lessons. She does it with every classroom once a week. She does individual counseling. They can do referrals. Teachers can make referrals. Students can refer themselves, whatever. She does lunch buddies with them. We have a sensory path. We have some sensory rooms. So we have a lot of things to support their mental health and social emotional health. So do you have any questions?
Identify the issues and efforts to correct them all. Yeah.
And I'll tell you,
Right direction.
our PLCs have gotten so much stronger this year. They are truly professional learning communities. And I even recently put something on our dry erase board in there that it's not, a PLC is not a meeting. It's you coming together and looking at how to solve problems together as a team. And it's been wonderful. Bree Miller, I can't say enough about her. She puts the agenda out. She asks if anybody has anything to add to the agenda, and then she comes up. She's presented pagan strategies. She's read books about mathematical habits and presented on that. She's presented on good questioning techniques. Miss Peterson does the same. And then, yeah, we need to talk because they want to do a book study. So, K2, only K2. But they've really done a fabulous job. We have a K2 PLC, we have a 3-5 PLC, we have a special ed PLC, we have our CSI ATS meetings the last Friday of every month, which includes a gen ed teacher, and Kelly is joining us on those too. So they're really digging into looking at the data more and strategies that's going to help our kids. And that's what we want to see. It's not like PLCs used to be when we were first learning how to do them, just like planning your field trips together and stuff like that. And that's not what PLC is about. Problem solving, how do we get the kids to where they need to be? So. Any other questions?
Everything you guys are doing, I'm surprised that you got Kelly here. She's pulled away from that new grant.
If he wasn't so far away, I wouldn't be.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we are at item 6. Do we have any public comment? None. Item 7, approval of minutes. We have before us the February 20th, 2025 regular minutes. We'll handle these separately.
I make a motion that we approve the February 20th regular meeting minutes.
Okay, we have a motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mrs. Farley to approve the February 20th, 2025 regular meeting minutes. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the February 20th, 2025 regular meeting minutes have been approved. And now we have before us the February 27th, 2025 special meeting minutes.
Make a motion that we approve the February 27th special meeting minutes.
Second.
A motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. McBride to approve the February 27th, 2025 special meeting minutes. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining?
Aye.
Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote with Mrs. Farley abstaining that the February 27th, 2025 special meeting minutes have been approved. Okay, for bills, we have before us.
Got to state for the record, I have to leave this and get approved for R.T. Rogers bids. Conflict of interest for me.
All right, we have before us the bill for R.T. Rogers Oil Company.
I make a motion, we pay R.T. Rogers.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McBride, seconded by Mrs. Harvey to approve the bill for R.T. Rogers Oil. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote. The bill for R.T. Rogers has been approved with Mr. Brogan recusing himself. Okay, we have before us the remainder of the bills.
Make a motion that we pay the remainder of the bills.
Second.
We have a motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we pay the remainder of the bills. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the remainder of the bills have been approved for payment. Item 9, new business. Approved purchases over $25,000. None? Item 6, this is discussion or possible action to approve the retired employees affidavits. It's related to policy Roman numeral 4-G-1, substitutes an area of critical need.
This is something we just have to do every year pretty much.
This is the one we put out on review, isn't it? Or was it a different one?
We did put this out on review.
Policy was.
I think we put it out on review. Yeah, let's take no action on this and let's look into it and see. So we'll put this on the agenda for the next meeting. All right, item 10, we have personnel. We have before us retirements, resignations.
Need to pull, Charles Mann, that's.
Okay. We'll handle each one of these separately. let's handle the retirement resignations first.
I'm gonna recuse myself of the retirement recommendation for Charles Mann because he is my uncle.
All right, so the first item we have under personnel is the retirement resignation, and we have Charles Mann, maintenance supervisor, effective 6/30/2025 for retirement, and we have Pamela Hartwell, high school softball assistant coach, effective 3/7/2025 for resignation.
I make a motion that we approve the resignation retirement recommendations.
So have a motion by Mrs. Farley, seconded by Mr. Brogan, that we approve the retirement resignation recommendations. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect by 4-0 vote with Mrs. Harvey recusing herself that the resignation and retirements recommended have been approved. All right, we have before us now leave of absence. We have employment professional. We have extra duty, extracurricular coaches and volunteers. There is one addition to that. That's Pam Hartwell, who will be the auxiliary middle school softball coach. And that's all we have.
I'll make a motion that we accept the superintendent's recommendations for the personnel.
We have a motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mr. McBride, to accept the superintendent's recommendation for personnel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. The minutes reflect that by a 5-0 vote, the remainder of the personnel items recommended have been approved. All right, we are at item 11. No, this is her first meeting. We do appreciate Dr. Knott stepping in for us during this interim period. At this time, she has nothing to report to us. Then we're at item 12, discussion of next agenda. We do need to add for our next agenda the levy rates. And then also let's put this one item for policy 4G, get to it. Where did it go? Yeah, 4G1 substitutes in area critical need. Let's look into that retired employee affidavits and see what we need to do with that one. Any other items that you all would like to have on the next agenda?
We talked about putting the retention policy on the agenda to review it, make sure that we are prepared to comply with the law that's coming through, that's coming through for the third grade succession and retention act.
Any other items?
I got something I'm gonna look into and I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Add it.
Yeah, as always, if you have an item you'd like to add, reach out to Dr. Knott or myself and we can get that on the agenda for you. All right, Mr. McBride, item 13.
I make a motion to adjourn, the time is 7:24.
I second.
We have a motion by Mr. McBride, seconded by Mrs. Farley, that we adjourn, and the time is 7:24. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. The minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that this meeting is adjourned. The time is 7:24.